When supporting your ideas for a speech, extra care is needed in assessing that your supporting materials are precise, applicable, and dependable. We have 3 strategies to use when supporting your ideas: examples, statistics, and testimony. A speech without examples may lead your audience to think that your thoughts are abstract, impersonal, and not real. Conversely, a speech filled with useful examples will help your audience interpret your ideas as specific, personal, lively, and believable. We have 3 types of examples we can use: brief, extended, and hypothetical. A brief example is often noted as being a specific instance that may be referred to in passing to illustrate a point. A brief example that is verifiable means that that example can be supported by a source and that the audience can check that. It is very important to use verifiable examples when we deliver our speeches. The reason for the verifiable examples is so that our audience can perceive us as qualified to deliver this speech and adds credibility to our message. The narrative or the extended example are also called anecdotes, illustrations, and the narrative is longer and more detailed than a brief example. So in other words, these are very brief stories we can use in our speech. However, make sure that your anecdote directly relates to your speech topic and the specific point you're trying to make. Now, using this type of support, it is very easy to go off track. So we got to make sure that the example that we're using supports your specific purpose. A hypothetical example is speculative, imaginative, and fictional. Now, the hypothetical example cannot be verified for its legitimacy and can be either in a brief or a narrative format. In public speaking, it is very important that we do use verifiable information. So I'm not a real big fan of the hypothetical example here. The examples we choose must be representative and concrete. We need to be very mindful to use examples that are representative and do not deal with uncommon or extraordinary cases. Your listeners are likely to feel deceived if they feel you have chosen an uncharacteristic example to prove a general point. People are fascinated with people, so whenever you talk to a general audience, you can include examples that add human interest to your speech. The abstract idea becomes more meaningful when applied to a person. The second strategy we can use to support our ideas is through statistics. Statistics are used to quantify the speaker's ideas and are mentioned in passing to simplify or bolster a speaker's points. The use of statistics makes the speaker's claim credible and clear. When using statistics for your speeches, be sure to evaluate them using the following benchmarks. Are the statistics used representative? Are the statistics measured correctly? Are the statistics from a reliable source? A common error made by public speakers is how to implement statistics in your speech. When using your statistics in a speech, there's a 3-point process to implement those statistics effectively. First, you must identify the source of your statistic. Second, state your statistic. And 3, explain your statistic. Why is this statistic necessary in supporting your specific purpose? How does this statistic bolster the point you're trying to make? The third strategy we use when supporting our ideas is through testimony. Audience members tend to respect the opinions of people who have special knowledge or experience on the speech topic being delivered. Now we have 2 types of testimony: expert testimony and peer testimony. Expert testimony is testimony from people who are recognized authorities in their field. Expert testimony is especially helpful for student speakers because citing the views of people who are experts is a good way to lend credibility to your speeches. Remember, however, when quoting an expert, make sure that you have the person's name, organization, and title correct. Having incorrect information about the expert will hurt your credibility as a public speaker. Peer testimony is the opinions of ordinary people who have first-hand experience on the topic. This kind of testimony is especially valuable because it gives a more personal viewpoint on issues that can be gained from expert testimony. Peer testimony conveys the feelings, the knowledge, and the insight of people who speak with a voice of genuine experience. Examples of peer testimony would be movie reviews from people who saw the movie. We oftentimes see peer testimony in Yelp reviews for restaurants. Think about how you may have selected a particular class with a particular teacher. Was it from the recommendation of a friend? These are all examples of peer testimony. When supporting your ideas, remember there are 3 strategies: examples, statistics, and testimony. When using examples, You have the brief example, the extended example, and the hypothetical example. And remember, when you are using your statistics, you have to identify where did the statistic come from? What is the statistic? And then finally, we need to explain that statistic as it supports our main points. The third strategy to support our ideas is through testimony. And remember, we have peer testimony and expert testimony.